Picture the perfect offensive player. Someone who can get to the line at will, someone who can create space out of nothing, who can pull up from anywhere on the floor and make it look easy. Someone with handles that make the defenders look foolish, a step back jumper that's practically unguardable, and the basketball IQ to run an entire offense through its fingertips. Now picture that same player, game 7, fourth quarter, season on the line. Team needs a bucket, and he's just not there. Not physically. Physically, he's on the floor and he's in the play and he's also running the set. But the version of him that just spent 7 months making the game look effortless, he's gone. It just vanished like he never even existed. That's the James Harden Paradox. And this video isn't about whether James Harden is talented. He clearly is. He's one of the most gifted offensive players this league has ever produced. The numbers are real, and the handles are real, and also his division. But this video is about what happens when it actually counts. Because there's a pattern here, a long one, a documented one, and patterns don't lie. To understand what makes this so complicated, you have to understand where James Harden came from. Because he didn't start as the guy, he started as something much harder to maintain, the perfect teammate. OKC. The Thunder draft Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook in back-to-back years, and suddenly they have the bones of something special. Then they add Harden in 2009, and the roster starts to look genuinely dangerous. But they need Harden to do something specific. They need him to play off the ball, knock down shots, defend multiple positions, be genuinely okay with not being the star. James Harden was that guy, and he was incredible at it. Coming off the bench, embracing the role, making everyone around him better without needing the spotlight to do it. He won Sixth Man of the Year in 2012. He was the engine that kept OKC dangerous even when Durant and Westbrook were having off nights. He was, by every measure, exactly what a contending team needs from a third option. The Thunder made the finals that year. They lost to Miami in 5 games, but nobody left that series thinking the wrong team won. LeBron was locked in. Wade was locked in, and it was their moment. But here's what's important. In that finals, on that stage, James Harden was quiet. He wasn't invisible, he had his moments, but for a player of his caliber and a series that big, he was manageable. He was contained. The version of him that you'd seen all season, the one that felt impossible to plan for, decided not to show up when it mattered most. At the time, nobody made a big deal out of it. He was a 22-year-old. He was a bench player. It was one series. But the seeds get planted in moments like that. That following October, OKC made a decision that shocked the league. They traded Harden to Houston rather than paying him the max, and overnight, that narrative flipped. Harden went from a beloved role player to an underpaid superstar. From the guy who was okay not being the guy to the guy who deserved to be the guy all along. And in Houston, he became that. What Harden built in Houston was genuinely special. Let's be honest about that before we go any further. Back-to-back scoring titles, an MVP in 2018 that wasn't close, a stretch from 2014 to 2019 where he was arguably the most difficult player in the league to game plan for on a nightly basis. The step back became a cultural moment. The free throw hunting became a meme, but also a masterclass in using the rulebook as a weapon. The playmaking out of the pick and roll was as good as anyone outside of a true all-time point guard conversation. He was must-watch television every single night. Regular season James Harden was a cheat code. The problem was the playoffs kept coming around. Here's where the pattern starts to reveal itself. In 2015, the Rockets make it out of the first round and run into the Los Angeles Clippers in the conference semifinals. It's a 7-game series. Harden has moments, but his efficiency craters when the games tighten up. LA closes it out and Houston goes home. It's early in Harden's run as the franchise guy. People give him the benefit of the doubt. Growing pains. Fine. 2016. The Warriors, who are in the middle of building one of the most dominant runs in recent NBA history, meet the Rockets in the first round. Houston wins 1 game. Golden State takes the series 4-1. Harden struggles to find his rhythm against their switching defense. It's a quick exit. The questions are getting louder, but nobody is ready to call it a pattern yet. 2017. This is where it starts getting hard to ignore. The Rockets face the Spurs in the conference semifinals. San Antonio is a 2 seed. They are deep, experienced, and exactly the kind of team built to expose a player who disappears under pressure. Harden and Houston push them through 6 games, but it isn't enough. The Spurs close it out and advance to the conference finals. Another second round exit. Another series where Houston's best player couldn't elevate his game when the moment demanded it. 2018, a year everything was supposed to be different. The Rockets go 65-17, the best record in the West. Chris Paul is healthy, and the two-man game they've built is one of the most sophisticated offensive systems the league has ever seen. They are the number 1 seed. They have home court advantage. They have depth. They have everything a team needs to finally get over the hump. They match up with Golden State in the conference finals, and for the first 5 games, they are the better team. Houston leads the series 3-2, 1 win away from the NBA Finals. The city of Houston is believing. The national media is believing. This is finally the year James Harden gets to the biggest stage. Then, Chris Paul goes down with a hamstring injury. Game 6 shifts back to Houston. Everything falls on Harden now, and the Rockets go cold in a way that defied all statistical probability. They missed 27 consecutive three-pointers in a Game 7, an NBA record that still stands. But here's the part that people forget when they tell that story. The missed threes are a team failure. What belongs specifically to Harden is what happened in the fourth quarter of Game 7 on his home floor with a finals berth on the line. He had the ball. His team needed him. And the player who spent 8 months being unstoppable found a way to be stoppable at every single worst possible moment. Golden State wins, goes on to win the championship, and the questions stop being whispered. People start saying it loud. Where does James Harden go when the game gets big? 2019, conference semifinals. Golden State again. Harden is brilliant for stretches, but in the moments that decide the series, the ghost shows up wearing his jersey. The Warriors advance. The Rockets dynasty that never quite happened is quietly beginning its end. The same exit, the same questions, just louder now than before. And then came the pivot that was supposed to change everything. Because after everything, after the exits and the questions, and the pattern that was becoming impossible to ignore, James Harden finally got what he always said he needed: real help. He got to Brooklyn with Kevin Durant, with Kyrie Irving, 3 of the most talented offensive players of their generation on one roster. Surely, this time would be different. It wasn't different. The Brooklyn experiment fell apart before it ever really got started. A season and a half of what should have been the most unstoppable offensive trio the league had seen in years dissolved into drama, injuries, and eventually a trade request. Harden pushed his way out to Philadelphia, where once again the narrative reset. New city, fresh start, Joel Embiid as his running mate, the perfect situation for a playmaker of Harden's caliber. Philadelphia believed in him. The fan base believed in him. Embiid vouched for him publicly in ways that teammates rarely do for each other. And then the playoffs came. 2022. Conference semifinals. Miami Heat. The Sixers are a legitimate contender, and Harden is supposed to be the second star that pushes them over the hump. But watch the fourth quarter of that series. Watch the moments when Philly needed him most. Watch the shot selection get conservative. Philly loses in 6 games. 2023. Conference semifinals. Boston Celtics. Embiid is playing through injury, and the Sixers need Harden to be the guy. He finishes that series shooting under 40% from the field, and Philly loses in 7. He calls team president Daryl Morey a liar in front of cameras. He ended up back in LA with the Clippers, and the chapter in Philly closes the same way every other chapter closed. There's something almost cinematic about the whole thing. Like watch a character in a movie who keeps getting handed the exact same test in a different location and failing it the exact same way. Regular season James Harden is an all time player. Multiple scoring titles, an MVP in 2018 that wasn't even close, 11 All Star selections. Now look at the playoffs. His scoring average drops, not dramatically, but consistently, every single postseason. The step back that was automatic in March becomes a contested pull up in May. At some point, you have to look at the one consistent and every disappointing exit and ask the honest question. The talent was never in doubt, and the resume is real. But basketball doesn't give out trophies for regular season. Legacies get built in April and May and June. Legacy gets built in game sevens and closeout games, and the moments where everyone in the building knows the ball is coming to you and you make them right for knowing it. James Harden had these moments. He had dozens of them across multiple franchises and multiple super teams and multiple fresh starts that all came loaded with the same promise. This time will be different. And in almost every single one of them, the most gifted offensive player on the floor found a way to become someone slightly smaller than himself. That's not a criticism of his talent. It's something sadder than that. It's the story of a player who had everything it took to be remembered for, and somehow, when the stage got brightest, chose to turn the lights down instead. That's the art of disappearing. James Harden has perfected it. And that's the part of the legacy nobody can edit out, no matter how many regular season scoring titles they put next to his name.